FAFSA has changed. In some aspects, it will be for the better. In many, many others, not so much. As a result of the FAFSA Simplification Act, many components of filing for federal student aid and being awarded aid have changed, and a few have remained the same. But before we go any further, please hear this. You need to tap into the information that is available to you through colleges in your area, your high school counseling office, and the websites of the colleges that interest you or that you attend. If they offer workshops, instructions, or notifications on social media, whatever it may be, tap into those resources now. There are too many specifics for us to address everything in one video. Why? Because just enough has been changed about the free application for federal student aid to lead to potential confusion, and just enough has remained the same that it ensures confusion, even for those who have been through this before with other students, children, or advisees. Open your mind, take the process step by step, and identify resources that will help you as you move forward. Hi, I'm Margaret Meek, and this is an update on the FAFSA. Wait, before I forget, make sure you continue to look for other funding sources, scholarships, grants, or employer support. Counting only on federal student aid will not be enough, and dodging student loans is a great goal. We will only be discussing the applications for the 2024-25 FAFSA year. In other words, aid for the 24-25 college school year. You will be required to file the FAFSA every year you are in college of any form, community college, trade school, or four-year college. Okay, first things first. For this year only, the filing date will not fall in October. Instead, it will fall in December 2023. However, as of today, the specific date in December that the FAFSA will be open is not publicly known. So as a first step, go on your favorite social media site and follow the account for federalstudentaid.gov so you can be amongst the first to get the date to file the FAFSA on your calendar. With the new bill, changes can still happen to the form, the process, and the decision-making criterion, so keep your ears open. As you wait for the announcement of the opening date, there are 2 steps you can take to prepare. First, register yourself and your parents or spouse for an ID number. You can do that at studentaid.gov. Students and their parents need to have a number before they can even start to complete the FAFSA. Students and parents each need to register. If your parents file their taxes jointly, they must register as one. If they file separately, they each need an ID number. In the process, students provide their parents' email address when applying for their own student ID number, and then the parent or guardian is emailed a registration to complete. Students are also encouraged to have their parents' Social Security numbers available to help the process move forward as smoothly as possible. If your parents don't have a Social Security number, you will be walked through how to complete the process as you progress. It can take a few days to get your ID number, and as we get closer to December, there will be significant traffic to the site to register. So don't put this off. File as soon as possible. Second, make the choice to follow through on filing the FAFSA. Colleges and governments offer scholarships and grants with selection tied to the numbers provided on your FAFSA. So, not only do you miss out on federal funding, but you could also miss out on state and college funding. You must file your FAFSA as early as possible. Colleges will have months less time to determine individual funding levels, so the earlier you file your FAFSA, the better. Because of the short timeline for colleges, it is also recommended that you steel yourself to be willing to ask for clarification or changes once you receive your aid package from each school. Ensure you know any listed deadlines from the schools on the dates by which you need to file your FAFSA. Some schools may have deadlines as early as mid-January, so don't waste your time or procrastinate. One other process point. You and your parents must consent to share information from your IRS filings in 2022. No consent, no filing. And for your reference, your parents and guardians who complete their portion of the form are now called contributors. There is also a terminology and impact change in that the FAFSA form no longer measures the expected family contribution. This will now be an index called the Student Aid Index. The SAI will measure the impact of family finances on students' ability to pay for college. Still, the measure is presented differently. It is more of a needs analysis. Not all that is in the reform bill will be positive for all students, and some may dramatically change eligibility for federal aid. The family income level will no longer be based on the parent with whom you, as a student, live the most days. The income level will be measured by the parent or guardian who earns the most money. That can make a significant difference depending on the income levels of each parent versus the financial participation level of each parent. If your family has more than one student in college at a time, that will not be figured into the ability of your family to contribute to each student's education. In the past, if your family contributed $20,000 to two children's total education bill, it was split $10,000 for each student. Now that will count as $20,000 for each of the children. Some colleges will still be using the number of family members in college at one time when building financial aid offers from the school. So check with colleges when you apply to determine their policy. Before, small businesses with fewer than 100 employees or farms used to have those businesses' financial implications exempt from the family net asset calculation. That's no longer true. This will change many family SAI calculations. With farms, the fair market value of land, buildings, livestock, unharvested crops, and machinery actively used in farming, minus any debts held against those assets, will be counted against a student as a family asset. Small business implications will be much the same. Family size will not be measured by the number of children in a family, but by the number of exemptions reported in tax filings. Here are the other changes that will save time and money for applicants. The form will have about 50 fewer questions to be answered. It is hoped that the form will prove easier to understand and complete. There are no longer questions about selective service registration or drug convictions. You can now list up to 20 colleges on your FAFSA. List any school on your list that you suspect will creep into your list later. This is 10 more schools than in the past, so yay, Simplification Act. If your grandparents have a 529 college savings account in their name for you, you no longer have to claim those funds as student income. The same is true for workman's comp and veteran educational benefits. This is excellent news. Filings will be primarily done through DDX, Direct Data Exchange. While this has been offered in the past, it is now the primary manner of sharing your tax information from 2022 through a direct link with the IRS. Other federal aid programs will not be counted against you as an asset, such as the SNAP program. If your or your family's income is less than necessary to file taxes, you do not need to report income on the new form. The form and process will now be available in 11 different languages. Prisoners are now allowed to be awarded federal education funding support. Once your data is collected, Pell Grants can be automatically awarded if the family and the student report an income well below the designated poverty rate. It used to be that students had to be enrolled full-time, generally 12 credit hours, to be awarded a Pell Grant. Now students can be awarded a prorated portion of a Pell depending on the number of credit hours in which a student is registered. But remember, being enrolled full-time may be a qualification for other scholarships, grants, and awards. Attend workshops offered by the colleges on your application list, your high school, or a college in your area, even if you will not be attending that school, if they provide assistance. Read the financial aid web pages offered by colleges. Visit the studentaid.gov website that offers advice on how to complete your FAFSA successfully. While there are some good and some challenging aspects of these FAFSA reforms, we want to make one final point. Implementing new online forms by large organizations like the federal government does not always go as planned. There will be growing, changing implementation hiccups that can impact your travels through the wonders of your FAFSA. Filing your FAFSA is an essential step to earn financial aid. Be prepared, Be complete. Be patient. If you found this information useful, click the like button or subscribe. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments below.